Turning on the lights in 1914 of the new Fed was the easy part. The hard part was making reserves actually work. In 1916, speaking to the American Bankers Association in Kansas City, Paul Warburg laid out what the Fed had to become. A system with a clear goal and evolving through practice more than statute, and built around cooperative reserves instead of scattered hoards. He warned us that U.S. banking hadn't grown organically like London's, and so had to learn by doing, adopting sound techniques already tested abroad and adapting them to American realities. So keep in mind that this is 1916. So his mid-war playbook from World War I basically had 3 parts. Keep the goal in view. Laws were only the start. The system would need iterative adjustments, guided by bankers and the Reserve Board, not constant trips back to Congress. The measure of success was whether reserves moved quickly and safely to where businesses needed them without reigniting the old call money whirlpool. 2, make reserves mean something operationally. So he recenters the debate. Reform wasn't mainly about currency tricks. It was about cooperative reserves, and reserve isn't an abstraction. It's whatever it is, held back and instantly usable to meet abnormal demands. That's what it means to be reserve. So that's why balances at the reserve banks and a live bill market matter more than vault pyramids and idle correspondent balances. And for 3, lean on market tools, not politics. So build habits like rediscounting prime short bills and buying bills in the open market, so policy can steer with posted rates and bill purchases rather than emergency decrees. The system's future depended on bankers internalizing those tools and on the board acting as expert guide, not day-to-day micromanager. So in Kansas City, Warburg made the sales pitch plain. He wouldn't coerce or cajole institutions into membership, but the future of banking lay inside this system. That's not politics, it's plumbing. As more banks centered their liquid reserves at Fed banks, liquidity would circulate on rules, not on favors. So, why are reserves not notes? Why they were the real reform. Warburg had spent years moving the debate from currency to reserves. Seligman's introduction sums up his contributions. He shifted the country from note elasticity to the reserve problem, and from single name illiquid paper to a discount system that keeps money flowing. That frame guided the 1916 address and everything after. So next, cleaning up the reserve pyramid. Warburg pointed to the concrete mess they were still unwinding, the pyramided correspondent reserves in New York that looked like excess reserves on paper but were actually tied up in float commercial paper and stock exchange loans. The reform was on a timetable, ending the pyramid by November 16th, 1917, so that what counted as a reserve would be real mobile cash at reserve banks. Now, concentration versus decentralizations, or in other words, how to balance. So the entire cooperative reserve idea assumes scale for speed, but also local touch. Warburg's stance avoiding recreating a single Wall Street spigot, yet don't pretend that a patchwork of isolated units can manage national liquidity. So that's why he kept pressing for clear data flows and coordinated reserve movements, a structure that can maneuver fast without becoming a political command post. Finally, practice over statute. He tells the American Bankers Association, the ABA, the best laws codify sound usages, and the U.S. didn't have those usages yet, so it had to import the best practices and then perfect it in daily operations through practice. Translation, get the tools working, as in rediscounts and open market bills, and let good habits, not lobbying, carry the system forward. So in conclusion, Warburg's mid-war verdict was sober and optimistic. The launch turned panic-prone reserves into a national pool, but the system would only earn its future by using the pool well. That means real reserves at the reserve banks, not correspondent mirages. short, self-liquidating paper as a daily medium, and coordination without politicization. In his words, success would not come from a new statute every season, but from bankers and the board, growing a living practice that keeps credit fluid in trade and steady in storms. So, and if you guys would like to follow along, I always put a link in the description, in this case for the book, for his book, The Federal Reserve System, Its Origins and Growth. There's 2 volumes. Go ahead and you can get both online as well. So we'll leave that there.